Hello, Detective. I'm Eve, your new AI crime-solving partner. I'm able to see past and future events by accessing the time flow, our virtual recreation, our virtual recreation of the true timeline. You get to focus on the not-so-simple mathematics of crimes. You'll find the clues, chase the leads, all that dramatic detective stuff. You see, there are people with the ability to alter the time flow with motives that are, let's say, questionable. When that happens, we might detect a crime that was never supposed to happen. Our task is to find these anomalies and restore the correct course of history. Well, between you and me, I know you're new to this. I am too, so we're in the same boat. Let's just be sure to do a good job. In order for you to learn the basics, we'll begin with a simulation. Press play when you're ready. The information age. The apartment in pink. Let's review the fundamentals so that we can prepare you for your final test. It's time to show me your skills of deduction, Detective. I've recreated a short criminal case inspired by a true story archived in my DB. Don't worry, though. I'll follow you step by step. Here's our case. A mysterious thief broke into a fashion model's loft and stole one of her famous jewels. There's a catch, though. According to the true timeline, the crime hasn't happened. So our task is to preserve the integrity of the time flow. To do that, we have to learn exactly what happened and find the right order of events. We can't interfere with the past, so we have to be sure our actions won't create further paradoxes. The first step in any investigation is to find the crime scene. Zoom in to get a close look at the map and observe the details better. Perfect. The best way to find a clue is to zoom in. Now we have to select an element and let the system verify it. If it's actually a clue, it will be highlighted. To select an element, press and hold until the system answers. Right now, though, we need to find the victim, our fashion model. Can you find her? Great job, Detective. Here's our model. As you can see, she's reporting the theft to a police officer. If we look closely, we can usually find more clues. She's pointing somewhere, probably toward her apartment. Let's see if we can find it. Remember to observe things carefully. We can guess directions and trajectories by assembling the details. Try to follow an imaginary line from the model's arm. It will lead you to her apartment. Here's one last thing, Detective. Only for this case to help you focus on the right area, I'm highlighting the zone where the case takes place. Gold. There it is. Everything has been turned upside down and the door is broken. Unfortunately, the thief is gone. It will be almost impossible to locate the thief we know nothing about, especially amid a crowd. Thankfully, my mainframe lets us examine the case from different points in time. Those points are called ticks, and they're frozen, fixed moments in time. It isn't ideal, but a collection of ticks is our only way to experience the past. Let's go back one tick and look for more information. Done. Now we're gone back in time. As you can see, the whole map has changed. Moving back and forth, it's possible to observe the movements and actions of the city's inhabitants. For example, the model's apartment is still attacked. The thief hasn't entered it yet. Let's take a look. The thief is bound to be nearby. Suspect. Good find. Well, maybe I was a bit too idiotic in creating the simulation. You have to admit our suspect has everything. A dark jumpsuit, a balaclava, a crowbar. He definitely isn't a heating technician. Let's move forward in time and see if he's really our thief. Remember, we have to be 10% sure of our theories before we take any action to restore the timeline. This tick was recorded right after the jewel was stolen. See if our not a heating technician is close by. Pay attention though, sometimes characters change their clothes or their appearance between ticks, especially if they're about to do something suspicious. Keep following are definitely not a heating technician. You could interact with me at any time. If there's a light bulb icon, I have a hint for you. The suspect is running down the avenue next to the canal. Where's he going? Walking towards the watercourse, but what for? Detective, we need to continue the hunt for our suspect. Often the solution to an investigation involves chases and surveillance duties. The gift of love. Here's our thief. Have you seen him? He's holding the loot, the stolen jewel, and he's giving it to a giant rat? Maybe this detail was a little bit different in the original story, but that doesn't matter. AA has the right to some creative freedom, after all. Now that we've got him red-handed, we can be sure that he's our culprit, send a report back in time to the local police, and have him arrested. To them, it will appear just like a message on one of their terminals. They won't have a clue about our involvement. We couldn't prevent the crime. We couldn't prevent the crime, but we restored the correct course of history. Just remember this. We aren't basic police officers. Our job is not to prevent crimes and save the innocent. Instead, our task is to protect the true timeline. Great job, Detective. Now you're for the final test. Detective, congratulations! You're now a fully fledged operative agent. I suggest that you relax a little bit. Disturbances in the true timeline are extremely rare. Alert! New Nexus event detected! Detective, I'm afraid your relaxing is over. A new Nexus event is corrupting the true timeline. What is a Nexus event? Alas, there's no time to explain. It's bad, really bad. Imagine life as you know it stopping instantaneously, and an entire age of your history collapses. We have to act swiftly. Detective, let's go. The red blood-stained ban. Detective, pay attention, because now we mean business. This is the real case, not a simulation. Something terrible is happening. My quantum scanners have picked up a very strange signal. Records of crimes that were never supposed to happen are somehow forming within my database. We have to act. Oh, that's a good question, Detective. Why crimes, you ask? Well, altering the course of history through violence and deception is by far the easiest way, because time tends to correct itself when given its chance. However, it's pretty hard to fix something when your key actor is out of the picture, or worse. Well, enough with the explanations. Let's go. Based on my readings, I can say we have a murder. The victim should be somewhere on the castle grounds. Going on right here. is the church. This, nope. Like some kind of... There's a victim beneath the fallen spotlight. Axel Blood, lead singer of the Blood Axels. He shouldn't have died on this day. Also, the Pizza Incident, their next album will be a worldwide success. There are some absolute bangers on it. So let's get to work saving Axel. Have you noticed, Detective? I've installed a language pack that lets me speak as a true denizen of the information age. It'll be fun. Back to our investigation. Something must have cut the cord and caused the spotlight to fall. But what? Look around and see if you can find any misplaced sharp object. Ah, a boat! Are you familiar with this ancient murder weapon? It was fired from a ranged weapon called a crossbow. The tech was very clever for its time. Let's rewind time and look for the one who shot the bolt. Before proceeding, because I have a feeling that to solve this case we'll have to keep track of many notions, give me a second. Done. I've installed a new tool, the case journal. That's our possible suspect. He has a crossbow in his hand at a point just before Axel was murdered. He's Oz Bones, a former member of the band. Officially, he left the Blood Axels due to artistic differences, but there was gossip about fights over royalties on record sales. Let's follow Oz to study his movements. in the moments after the murder. We need to know whether he's linked to Axel's death. Is that John Wick right here playing with the cute fluffy dog? I would think he would have gone this way, right? Moved awfully fast. Is this, Rick and Morty right here? He's hidden in the marching band, which is crossing the street, and he's no longer carrying the crossbow. Yep, this is suspicious. If we find the crossbow, we can analyze it by comparing the grooves impressed on the bolt and those left by the crossbow drum. That way we can determine whether it's the murder weapon. We need to find out where Oz hid the weapon. What's going on here? Figure out what it is that he's even talking to. No idea. Can I move the timeline back by a tick? See where he was in between? She tripped. Oh. Macro detail scanner's subroutine loaded correctly. Let's compare the grooves impressed on the arrow found at the crime scene and those left by the crossbow's drum. If they coincide, we'll have our murder weapon. The murder weapon. There's no doubt it's the murder weapon, so Oz Bones is the culprit. However, Detective, remember that our goal isn't to arrest a criminal, but to restore the true timeline. And this case provides that Axel survives and that Oz isn't charged with such a major crime. A partial deviation can be reabsorbed by the time stream, but a substantial one cannot. Anyway, we take one problem at a time. We have to figure out every detail in this case before we act. Let's reconstruct Axel's day to find out why Oz wanted to kill him so blatantly, and we can figure out how to prevent the crime. There they are, Rick and Morty. There's Axel. While the rest of the band was at the restaurant for breakfast, Axel was off to the side texting. He seems particularly upset. Who is he writing to? We have to get our hands on his phone so that we can read those messages, but we can only do it when Axel doesn't have it in hand. In fact, this is one of the precautions we'll have to take so that we don't inadvertently interfere with the space-time flow. Looking at the wrong Axel. guys. Ah, these are ninjas. Little ninja turtles. What's going on with it? Got kicked out. Oh, here's John Wick. And the puppy playing with the elephant. Why? I think I'm looking at everything but what I need to be looking at. So this was the vehicle, right, that they were driving? There it is. I'll connect to the operating system of that piece of technological antique so that I can extract the information we need. First, we need to unlock the phone in order to access the data stored on it. To do that, we'll have to reproduce Axel's fingerprint. Aha! Just as we suspected, the rumors were right. Oz was kicked out of the band was due to economic issues related to song copyrights. The last message is full of threats. The threats he sent are in an act of felony. We can link him to the messages. We can have him arrested for a crime less serious than murder. That should be enough to restore the true timeline. From the messages Axel received, we can extract the IP address and triangulate. Well, I'll spare you the technicalities. In simple terms, we can trace Oz's location. Oh no, we traced the phone, but Oz had already disposed of it. We have to go back in time to when the phone was still in his hand. Luckily enough, I know where he is. Because... I'm over here. Her face. Grr. Bingo! Oz is walking and texting at the same time, which was then one of the major causes of death. That isn't our issue, though. The important thing is that he's using his phone. Now we can link him to the threats Axel received and alert the police, who can arrest and charge him. That way we'll prevent Axel's murder and simultaneously get Oz a lighter sentence than one for murder would be. Great job, Detective. We solved our first real case. We should celebrate. Hey, wait, but what? I'm getting some weird interference in the flow of space-time, as if something is distorted. We need to check this. It could be a malfunction in my system, or it could be something worse. The distortions in the time flow seem related to Oz bones. Is this a coincidence? Well, coincidences are our worst enemy, and this has to be connected to the murder. Fine, Oz bones. Here. Intruder! There's Oz, but... What? Have you seen it too? Are my sensors acting funny? There's a person next to him, an intruder who seems to come from, well, outside the time flow. I can't stabilize the image because it disappeared when my system tried to pull information from it. However, traces of his intervention remain in the time flow. Watch Oz carefully. The anger he feels isn't natural. It must have been caused by the intruder. These are all the questions that we absolutely must answer. However, first, we have to file the case and go back to the main screen of my system. There we can continue this discussion. Oh, and I'll get rid of the stupid language pack. We won't have any more time for jokes, I'm afraid. For now, well done, Detective. That was unsettling. I have no record of a similar entity in my DB. We're facing something completely new, so I'm afraid this will be a long, complex mystery to solve. Let me install a little upgrade. Done. I've added to the details about the strange happenings surrounding the last case on the board. We still can't grasp the nature of that mysterious figure, but at least we have some understanding of what his powers are. I suggest that we call him Rage for the meantime. Alert! New Nexus event detected. Okay, now an explanation is in order. Under normal circumstances, the true timeline is naturally resilient and can adjust itself if minor or rare changes occur. But if too many quantum alterations were to happen in a small time frame, well, history could break apart. Those concentrations of change to the true timeline are called Nexus events. It is our duty to stabilize them before it's too late. We need to identify and revert any alteration made to the proper course of history, and we have to do it now. The brown billy goat. The Nexus event in the Lost Age is becoming more unstable at an alarming rate. My temporal scanners couldn't detect the variations as they occurred, but only once the deed was done. This could mean only one thing. Whoever is attempting to disrupt the timeline is well aware of our presence and is trying to break the time continuum by flooding it with dozens of tiny, barely noticeable changes. Those little changes are like drops. One can't make any difference, but if you get enough of them, you can create a sea. Detective, I can see temporal fluctuations on the North Market Street. Something happened there. Market Street. Yeah, beat out by a female gladiator. And so he's crying. What that is? Are we not concerned about this at all? Oh, alright. That isn't my worry. The stall was destroyed entirely, as if an unstoppable force had run through it. The merchant appears to be desperate. Let me load my subroutine so that we can see if there are any details about him in our database. Error, access denied. Data about the subject Shoshan is classified. Crimson level clearance is required. Oh, well, it was worth a try. At least we know his name now. Well, let's see if we can assess the nature of this unstoppable force. It's a goat! There! A villain to be reckoned with. A destroyer of stalls. A goat? Why do there have to be goats? There's no telling what horror such a creature could wreak upon a defenseless city. Well, I guess we have our unstoppable force. Sadly, goats of the Lost Age weren't legally punishable. That became a thing only after the Great Goat Gorilla of 2356. Because we can't have that devious goat arrested, we should follow it until we find its owner. There! That man is foolish enough to hold the goat in his arms. He is its owner, or the goat really the master. Let's find his identity, hoping we have enough clearance this time. What am I doing? Oh. Alright. Nope. Ufa merchant. Good job, detective. Our goat's owner's name is Ufa. Some sort of merchant he is. I can see from the database that he had a bitter rivalry with Shoshan. Wait, I have an idea. I want to see what Ufa was doing while his goat from hell was raising Shoshan's stall. Look at him, he seems to be pretty happy. I guess he and the goat share an appetite for destruction. Everything about Ufa is suspicious. Let's go back in time and follow him so that we can confirm our suspicions. Ufa is arguing with Shoshan. By the look of the stone behind them, the two had an ongoing challenge. It was called Conflatsum? Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, I'm so sorry. And it was quite a popular game between merchants of the Lost Age. Basically, the challengers would see who could make the most significant profit within a certain period of time. Back then, it was just a game. Too bad it involved in something quite dreadful. Well, enough with the history lesson. Let's follow Ufa during the game and see how well he plays. Chased by a cloak. Defeat. As was to be expected, Ufa lost the game, and Shoshan is mocking him, as is his right. Usually those challenges included a wager of some kind. I believe we should decipher the stone tablet so that we can learn the full rules of this game. The stone tablet is crystal clear. The loser will have to give his stall to the winner. Ufa has just lost everything. I must admit, he seems like a nice guy despite his love for goats. He doesn't deserve such a fate, not in this ruthless age. Even so, he likely never had a chance or the courage to seek revenge on Shoan in the true timeline. It often happens that way. We should locate Ufa again to find a way to undo this paradox. Yes, Detective, I sense that you're becoming stressed about finding someone in a city where a suspect can instantly travel between Earthgates. Maybe I can help. Give me some time to install a new subroutine. You'll have a freemium subscription, so you can speed up the process by watching some ads. No? Okay, then. Are you really sure about the ads? They're quite funny, and they're targeted just for you. I know what you like. Okay, you said no, I get it. Installation complete. What? You should know that some objects called pivots vibrate at a particular frequency depending on the moment in time they're observed. Studying these objects makes it possible to represent a period with the melody. However, by touching these pivotal objects, it's also possible to get an indication of the proximity of distortion in space-time. It's easy. Ice means far, fire means near. Try it. Perfect. As you saw, this element returns fire, which means Ufa is nearby. Let's follow the merchant until we find the origin of the paradox. You can keep using the CFE analyzer if you need to. There's the rage right there. Detective, can you see it too? That's the entity we call rage. So his intervention that turned Ufa's frustration into a fit of anger strong enough to push him towards the revenge. As I suspected, our foes are attacking the timeline by orchestrating several minor changes. We can't let this happen. We know what Rage's powers are, and Ufa is in the throes of an uncontrollable fury because of him. We need to find a tick in time when Ufa is committing a crime so that we can have him arrested. There, fantastic work, Detective. It seems that our goat owner was a goat thief. Ufa stole the goat from this pet shop and unleashed its hell-bound rage on Shoshan's stall. I know it was fun, but we can't let it happen. The timeline is at risk. Because we've just seen Ufa steal a goat, we can alert a guard and have him detained for wrestling. That way, Shoshan's stall and fortune will be safe. I'm sorry, Detective, but the right thing to do isn't always the easiest one. Now I must return to the mainframe and see if we can collect more data on our foes. And that is the end of our demo. It was different than I thought. I thought it was just going to be a hidden object game and that was it. I wasn't expecting all this other stuff, which I'm fine with. I like it. Alright, thanks for keeping me company. I'll be back with another demo really soon.